Again, thank you everyone for joining us this evening. We appreciate it. Thank you for being patient with us through some technical difficulties. So as I mentioned, my name is Nicole Perry. I'm the Senior Account Executive here at CareStack. Thank you so much again for being here. The Psychology of Dentistry, hosted with the Dinner with the Practice Heroes. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm joined by my colleagues, Crystal Beal and Tyler Phillips, both of which are practice heroes here at CareStack. But Tyler is actually a client as well. He is the office manager for D. Brian Williams DDS in North Carolina. So we're so excited to have the both of you. Thank you guys for cutting into the evening to join us. And the special guest of the hour, Whitney Jackson, the senior implant consultant from Tommen Medical, based out of Switzerland. I do know that. So I'm sure you know all about fondue. I'm sure you've perfected that craft at this point. But I'll actually let you introduce yourself, give a little bit of background information, past experiences, and then let's dive right in. And again, everyone, you are intentionally on mute. Your videos are turned off. So if you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A or chat. And then we'll go through how to get like the Grubhub gift card and everything at the end of today's presentation. So I'll kick it off to you, Whitney.
Thank you, Nicole. I appreciate that. Just to get things started, Crystal's going to introduce where we are going from here.
Yes, so in the psychology of dentistry, we are harnessing the power of effective communication. This is where you can finally get the patient to commit to the treatment that's been diagnosed. That's the end goal. We want the patient to start treatment. Whitney is going to share with us some nudges that are tools that will help patients commit. And Whitney will also share communication tools that actually work. And this is called DISC. And then we have all been there. We have all worked in an office where it seems like some team members, you just can't get along. It almost feels like you're speaking another language and they just don't understand where you're coming from. Don't worry, you're not alone. We've all been there. A lot of other people have been in these same scenarios, and a lot of practices have struggled with these concepts as well. So Whitney, you want to go ahead and kick it off and let them know how we're going to overcome all this?
Absolutely. We want to give you some objectives for the evening, and I appreciate you all inviting me here. A special shout out to CareStack for this invitation. And thank you again for having me. I am the senior implant consultant for Tommen out of Switzerland, as Nicole introduced, but I've also been in practice consulting as well on the business side of dentistry and really diving into those areas where we can improve our team communication, speak with our patients in a more effective manner. And that's part of what I want to bring to you today by utilizing profiling questionnaires to benefit the team and our patients. Becoming a non-disruptive disruptor. I like that word because when we have to nudge people and disrupt things a little bit, we want to do it in a non-disruptive way. And we'll cover some ideas about how to make that happen. We'll also discuss treatment acceptance fundamentals. As Crystal said, that's the goal of every practice. We want to move those patients forward to accepting treatment. Some myths about sales and real life stories. I've been in the dental field wonderfully for 20 years. And so because of that, I've got some real life stories, and I'll be happy to sprinkle some of those in for you. So what do patients expect? Patients expect to receive options for how to proceed with the work that you have prescribed for them. That is actually their expectation when coming to your office. Patients expect you to tell them what's wrong and provide them a pathway to fix it. They also expect you to tell them when things are going well, or that things look great, or that they had a great hygiene appointment today. They like that encouragement as well. But those patients look to you, their dental professional, to really explain what's next for them and their treatment. Having the right kind of practice software management to be able to clearly spell that treatment out for them is a really great tool when going over the treatment. And let's talk about a 4-letter word, sale. I have seen your faces in many practices that I've been able to consult with. And as soon as I say sale or sales, they go, oh no, that's not us. We're not in sales. So let's break down that barrier that you have to sell them on your diagnosis. And let's talk about how you can just help those patients. And here's why. You do great work in your office. You solve patients' problems and you help people. You recommend your provider to your friends and family. You talk about the great case and the patient's life that got changed because of the dentistry that your practice does. You care about your patients and want to get them the help that they need. So being able to present that treatment to your patients with this level of confidence in mind makes it not sales anymore. And you're just sharing and recommending what's best. It's like that great new restaurant in town that you just love and you couldn't wait to tell your friends how you had a wonderful experience there. Your patients have great experiences in your practice too. And so how do we do this though? What's the right way to go about it? And I like to break this down to tools that help. We need tools in our toolbox to be able to move forward as we break down treatment acceptance. So one great tool is DISC. And DISC is a personality assessment tool which helps you to understand yourself better and others. It is great for improving team communication and productivity in the workplace. And what team doesn't want that? DISC is a questionnaire. It's kind of fun, like a Facebook question where you answer some things about which way would you be inclined to lean towards, this or that? How would you feel about this scenario or that scenario? And it's a fun questionnaire that helps you understand yourself better. After going through DISC models with practices that I've had the privilege of consulting, they have taken this home and made their spouses or partners take this test to be able to just improve communication at home because these tools really work. But what is DISC? It's an acronym that stands for the 4 main personality profiles described in the model. So that's all you really have to worry about here, just 4. So D is for dominance, I is influence, S is steadiness, and C is conscientiousness. And what I thought was really neat in working with practices with DISC is I often found that hygienists were in one bucket most often and assistants were in another bucket most often. And then I'd have treatment coordinators that tended to sort of score the same. And I thought it was great to get to know one another better, to be able to work together as well as possible. So let's describe what some of those look like. That D personality is the person that tends to be very confident and places an emphasis on accomplishing bottom line results. They like to be in control. They are fast paced. They like to make decisions. They're assertive and competitive, speaking with self-assurance, and they're very impatient. So one of my favorite parts about going over the D personality, I said I had some stories through the 20 years, is when we were covering this with one of my teams, and the doctor read all of this off and he said, "This is me. This totally describes me." And, all his team members are laughing because they know, of course, how he is. And they already assessed him as a D personality, but he had this eureka moment and said, "Do you think my wife knows this about me?" And we just laughed and laughed, like, of course she knows this about you. And so that's my story about the D to get us started. And for you to picture who a D is kind of in the world of famous is Darth Vader is a D. You've got Michael Jordan, the character Scarlett O'Hara, and good old Simon Cowell is another D personality type. And people with I personalities, they tend to be very open. They place an emphasis on relationships and influencing or persuading others. They like people. They like to talk. They're the person that you probably have to tell, get back to work because you're talking too much. They respond to questions very quickly. They're not inclined to be alone. They gesture with hands, have animated facial expressions. They like to look good. They have a charming personality. And they're pretty spontaneous. So some I's that you might be familiar with are Han Solo. Had to put in the Star Wars characters. Oprah Winfrey is a high I. Bill Clinton, Will Smith, and Dolly Parton. Don't we love her?
We do.
Yes, thank you. People with S personalities, they tend to be dependable and place the emphasis on cooperation and sincerity. They're soft spoken, friendly, calm. They're relaxed, have a casual demeanor. They ask how to questions. They really get engaged this way. They ponder those questions rather than answering quickly. They're very thoughtful in this manner, loyal to people, and in that loyalty, they really support others well. Some S's you might remember are Luke Skywalker, Martin Luther King, Mr. Rogers, and Mother Teresa. So people with C personalities, and I promise we're going somewhere with this. We've got to lay the background about what this is about, kind of capture what these personality types are so that we'll know how to best communicate with them. And that's next. But those C's, they tend to place the emphasis on quality, accuracy, expertise, and competency. C's ask very detailed questions, speaking without emotion and no small talk. Small talk is actually pretty offensive to them. They're pretty hard to read. They're the ones with a great poker face. They like logic and facts, not feelings. They can express doubt and caution and respond cautiously to your questions. Some C's you might recognize, C3PO, Albert Einstein, Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis, Bill Gates, and Mr. Spock. So these assessments illuminate self-awareness, but they also in turn improve team communication and even conflict resolution. So as I went through these, I hope you were thinking about yourself, like where might you fit into this model of DISC, or thinking about those team members, or even that team member that you've had a conflict with. Does it help you take a picture or a step back to say, maybe this is just their lens in life. This is how they view things. And this has been hard for me to break through in that way because they see things one way and I see things another way. Or your patients. What about that patient that's just been stalling? They're stuck on that treatment acceptance. You know they need to move forward because we all know dental problems do not magically heal themselves. They only get worse with procrastination. So what about that patient who's been stalled on treatment acceptance that you could maybe apply some of these concepts towards having the right kind of communication with them to get them to move forward?
Whitney, that's such a great point too, just with working with your coworkers and understanding how their brains work. I know with my staff, we've done the DISC before, and people were mind blown just by seeing and going through the exercise and going, oh my God, I never thought about it from your perspective. So, because it can be a great tool for your team. So we try to incorporate the DISC or some kind of personality test into our team building every couple of years, just so that we can remind each other that we don't always have the same thought process.
No, Ted, what you said is a great point. So actually in my previous role, we did the DISC assessment. I was like,
Okay.
I know my coworker and I we're very different. And I was like, I know what personality there. I know, I had to know. And sure enough, that is the case. It did come back to be that personality type. But to me, it actually helped me on the receiving end because I didn't know how to communicate with that personality type. I've never been good at it. I've more shied away from it. So it actually helped me to be like, okay, that when I call, they want direct, they want to just know the facts, like straight points, like they do not want to make small talk. And I'm a high I, so I like talking. And that's why we were very opposite. So I was like, every time I called, direct to the point. And then if there was time for small talk, I would try to talk after, get myself in there. But it does help. It's actually incredible because you don't realize how other people think or what their thought process are until you actually see something like that and where you fall as well, like how you actually are, what your perceived status is as well.
It's so funny you say that. I've learned to grow as a leader through this process because my doctor is on the call tonight and he knows I was raised in a family that it was very much ABC, like you do what you're here to do. There's no, petting, but I have a lot of people who are that they're very timid and shy and they don't know when to speak up and they're so he reminded me that as a leader and a manager, sometimes you have to go and you have to say, hey, it's okay. You did a good job, but maybe we could improve on doing it this way. And so you have to learn those personalities and know who you're talking to and how to present it to be most effective to continue your goals for your business, which is to grow your business and to give the best patient experience overall.
It gives you the opportunity to slow things down and learn how to read that room, where
Yes.
you listen to what the patient is telling you and you start to put those puzzle pieces together to hear what that fear is. And you'll be able to speak to that more directly to that D personality, or give some testimonials to that I personality if they're concerned about treatment moving forward. But it allows you to read that room in a new way.
Yes, for sure.
Great contribution. I love having these panel discussions because everyone's got a different story to share and participate. And, being able to communicate with these patients is really our goal by using the DISC model. And so let's go through some ways to really speak to that D personality. You need to be showing the logic of your treatment, be brief and to the point, emphasize efficiency and savings, allow them to make the decision, and focus on those goals that they have.
With D personality how would you recommend presenting treatment to them? I know that I just shared my experience of working with the D personality, knowing you have to be direct. Is that the same as presenting when you present treatment, or do you have to soften it because it is a medical treatment as well? What's the best way?
They usually have heard what you're saying, made a multitude of decisions in their head already, and they're waiting for you to put it together in a concise manner. So how I would present to a D, I would say, Mr. or Mrs. So-and-so or patient AB, laid out for you in this treatment plan are the details of how long this is going to take and the exact costs associated with it. These are laid out for you in order to achieve your goals for the smile that you'd like to have. And we can get you on the schedule soon. I mean, it would be a very brief sentence. You've laid out what needs to happen, and that's how it goes. Laid out before you so you can see it is how long it will take, what the cost is, and this is to meet your goal of a new smile. And then I would be quiet.
Really?
We'll talk about silent treatment acceptance. Silence being a really important part of treatment acceptance moving forward. But I cut you off, Crystal. What were you going to say?
Yeah, I was going to say D personalities are actually one of the easiest ones to present the treatment to. They just want you to lay it all out for them and it's a go after that. There's no trying to convince them. They've already know what it is and they're ready to move forward.
Remember, these are the ones that make up their mind very quickly.
Yes.
You're absolutely right about that, Crystal. They've already done it, and it is an easier one. They can seem like a more intimidating personality type, but you hit the nail on the head, Crystal. It's easier because it's short and sweet and just the facts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's good to know.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it can seem intimidating, but it's really one of the easiest ones. People with I personalities. These people really like to have a word picture painted for them. Visuals are really important for these patients. Providing them a lively and friendly pace. Get them involved. It's conversational with these eyes. Testimonials are wonderful for you to show them, look, here's our before and after pictures of other patients who had something similar done to you and how happy they were. Also providing follow-up to nudge them along is great with those I personalities.
And you know what I love about this? So within CareStack, so one of our updates that the wonderful team at CareStack has done is our new treatment plan. When we present, it actually shows them a visual of what a crown is. So it shows actually the tooth prepped with the cap going over it and gives a description. So it gives these eye personalities a visual of what that procedure is and a description. Also, we're able to, so you're able to provide that follow-up. My team, they'll do a follow-up and they'll say, hey, I know you've got unscheduled treatment. Would you like to go ahead and move forward with that? And they can do that via text or email and track it within our system. I love that. My entire team loves that because we're able to see and to know when we've reached out to that patient and keep track of that as things progress.
And it's funny you bring it up, Tyler. I was actually going to talk about, so backtrack. I was at the periodontist because apparently I use a toothbrush way too aggressively, have some gum problems over there, but that's okay. And coming from like the dental industry, yes, I know I had some idea of what they were referring to when they say, hey, you need a gum graft, but they had graphics, they pulled up photos of other patients, and it actually gave me a good understanding, like, yeah, if I don't fix this, it's only going to get worse. So I really need to take care of this, because they showed these patients that were even worse than me next to mine.
Right.
It's like, yeah, I can't let this wait. Did it hurt to take care of it? Absolutely. But
yes, gum grafts are terrible.
And we all hate
worse.
that word. We all hate that word sale, but as Whitney said, it's a 4-letter word. But at the end of the day, we're selling this patient on the treatment that is best for them in the long term. And that's what's important. We're all here to help people.
I think you bring up an absolutely great point, Nicole, because you are in this business, you are in dentistry, and those visual aids helped you, who have a greater understanding than most patients about what exactly was that gum graft again. You needed guiding through that process in a way that made sense to you to help you move forward with that decision. They showed you, here's where you are, here's where you could be if you don't take care of this. And even though it's going to be a painful procedure, it's the best thing for you. It's that no pain, no gain, sadly, in life, but you did recognize the value of what that would do for you to move forward so that it didn't get worse. And that visual was really crucial to it.
Oh, absolutely. And it actually helped explain it. My mom, she wanted to know what it was. She had no idea. She's never had one. No one in our family does. And the graphics actually, she even said they made sense. And she has no dental background, nothing of that nature. And it made sense to her. So yeah, we all understood why Nicole needed this.
Sure.
And so Whitney, we have a question. Wendy says, she said she finds that she tends to mirror the personality trait that the patient is displaying. Is that the best method?
Is she a treatment coordinator, or he a treatment coordinator already? What's their role in the practice?
I am not sure what her role is. Wendy, if you can put in the chat what your role is, that would be great.
Because if Wendy has the ability to sort of morph into what the personality type of that person is, then she would be an outstanding treatment coordinator. Because yes, being able to take on the cadence, the pace, the animation or lack thereof with another patient, to be able to speak with them on a level that's similar, is an absolutely wonderful intuitive gift.
And she's an office manager and an implant consultant for an all-on-4 center.
Then I bet she sells a lot of all-on-4 cases. So
mirroring and matching.
That's a wonderful ability to be able to do that and just match the pace of the person in the room. If they get lively and animated, you get lively and animated. If they want very short, clipped, logical answers, you're probably dealing with a D, and you provide it in kind, and then just be quiet.
And that's a great point. Just kind of follow the lead of the patient and be able to read that and know who you're talking to.
Sure. Well, thank you for that question, Wendy. And I'm happy to answer any more that come through. Let's look at some S personalities. This is a very low pressure approach. S personalities are also scared of the word sales. So emphasizing stability and comfort is a great way to present to your S's. Detail the actions that they need to take. Give them a pathway that they can follow to move forward. Seek a concrete commitment. They can stall on commitments with the S's, so you really want to move and nudge them forward, but present in a very non-threatening manner. And give them some time to ponder a decision, but make sure that you have a commitment to follow up with them. Even if they say, I need to think about this, or I need to go home and talk to someone else about this, then I recommend with those S personalities that you say, I can appreciate you wanting to have some time to think about this. It's a really important decision for you to move forward. What I'm going to do is call you back in a week to see where we are if you haven't already called to schedule. Is that okay with you? And the patient will always say yes to that. So have a method of follow-up in place, especially for those S's, to keep them moving forward.
When you say like a time, if someone were to say like, yeah, you can call me on Friday, 4 p.m. is best. Do you recommend like a team put this somewhere in their schedule, like have an extra column for operatories and then put little notes to make sure they're actually doing it? Because I feel like, I mean, I'm guilty of it. You can see I have sticky notes everywhere. They get lost though. So that's probably not sticky notes probably would not be recommended. Is it the extra column at that point?
It really is an extra column. And what I'm hearing you say is it has to have a system and a method in place for that follow-up to actually take place, because you do get sidetracked, but it's our responsibility to keep driving them forward to that treatment acceptance. I've had practices, just get pieces of paper and a 3-ring binder and make notes. And so they have all the days of the week that they're going to work. And they know on Monday, I'm supposed to follow up with this all on 4 case. On Tuesday, I'm supposed to follow up with this veneer case. On Wednesday, and wherever they left it in the treatment phase, they have a notebook where they've actually written it down and they go through and check it off. Some software has the ability for you to put that in your schedule as well, but have a system in place and have someone take ownership of that. And those cases, again, these people aren't going to heal themselves. Their tooth decay isn't going to magically get better. So we need to be the practice that they come back to when they are ready to take that next step.
No, that's amazing. Thank you for that. I mean, so here's another question. If an S were to need a crown, like how would you present that treatment plan to them?
So I would lay it out very steadily for them. If you have, I'll give you kind of 2 options. If you have, a model where you take an impression or scan in your office and you send it to a laboratory for a crown, that's one way I'd present. Or if you have, digital technology in your office where you're making a crown there, it would sound like this one of 2 ways. I would say for your upcoming crown appointment, we're going to see you 2 different times. The first time, we're going to get you really comfortable and take care of any discomfort you may have. And we will be preparing the tooth and putting a temporary restoration. That temporary is going to be on you for about 2 weeks while our laboratory makes a custom fitting crown just for you. On that 2-week anniversary of your temporary you've worn, you're going to come back and get your custom fitting crown placed for us. Again, we'll make you really comfortable for this. Or I would give the patient the expectation of what it would be like for an in-office, CAD/CAM type crown. I'd say, again, because they want to know what the expectations are and the actions they'll need to take. I'd say this appointment's going to be about 2.5 hours. We're going to make you very comfortable through it. And our office technology allows us to make a custom fitting crown just for you that will be ready that day. So by the time you leave, that custom crown will be made just for you and we'll get you going. This is the exact cost it will be. Here's what your benefits provide for you. And we'll be able to move forward on Tuesday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So that's really how it goes. I really just break things down very succinctly so that they have an expectation. It's low pressure. You notice I didn't get animated about it. I just was pretty matter of fact. so that they have all the details involved and it's been presented as this is what you need to do to move forward, but it's non-threatening.
So would you say it's probably what I'm hearing is it sounds like it's pretty critical to have like eligibility and verification done on these patients before they arrive, because you really do want to be able to say before they leave, hey, this is what it's cost. Because I know we've all probably been to a dentist and had like a mystery bill that they say,
Yeah.
oh, well, we'll let you know in 2 weeks what it's going to cost. And at that point, you're like, I don't know. That
You're talking yourself out of it.
$10,000.
Yes, you're talking yourself out of it, and no one needs another reason to procrastinate dentistry, right?
No, absolutely. So, because that's like, I think every patient's worst fear is, well, what is it going to cost? Like, I think most people would feel more at ease if they knew right then and there, like you had said, you hand a piece of paper, it's written out, highlight the total number or the phases, whatever it may be, but those mystery bills, those get you.
Oh, you're right, Nicole. And let's go back to that D personality. They want facts right away. And if you're incorrect on that, you're going to get some serious pushback from a D. So you need to be very well prepared in having that conversation out of the gate to a D. This is how much it costs. This is how much time it will take. The end.
Hey, I love that. As I mentioned, I don't fall into the D personality, but yeah, I definitely like knowing the numbers before I'm about to commit to something.
Oh, sure. C personalities, you also really need to have your homework prepared. Data, facts, and logic. These are not your small talk chit chat people. They don't want to talk about feelings. They, they want to know straight pros and cons. You need to be accurate in your assessment. With your recession, they would lay that out for a C personality by saying, this is where you are, this is where you could be, and this is where you don't want to be. You need to move forward. And that would be a perfect conversation for a C personality. You would also want to offer options with your concerns back to, here's where that recession can go if you don't get this treated quickly. And reinforce with evidence. You have pictures that show how much worse it can get, and explain the steps towards their healthy smile. The C's with their logic and kind of no nonsense. I had a C personality in the chair for an implant case I was working with some time ago, and this patient wanted to see the drills. They wanted to see the motor and handpiece. They wanted to know how many RPMs we would be drilling into their jaw. And they wanted to see the implant parts and pieces and how it would connect. And I just very matter-of-factly explained everything, because reading the room, I knew that this patient was all about the data and facts, and they were fascinated with the technology. Now let's think about maybe a preschool teacher. If you're showing a preschool teacher the drills that are getting ready to go into their jaw, they might run out of the room screaming. That would not be a good idea. So it's just a different way of approaching.
Well, you just described my mother. I went to get a tattoo at 18 years old, and she walked in with me and said, "Can I see your sterilization records?" Like, you just described my mother, like, seriously. But totally, and that's the thing, is you have to know that these are the people you're going to present the facts to, and they don't care about the rest. They want to know the facts and what we're going to do and why that matters to them.
Exactly. And you can just be direct and focused. And now you have a pathway to have that conversation with them.
Exactly.
I don't want this to sound just like a disc commercial, because there are other reputable measuring tools for you to utilize: personality assessment tests or team building tests. I've worked with the Hogan personality inventory. The Strengths Finder is one that I really like, and these other two items as well. There's a lot of research out there. DISC is just the one that I've had the most experience with, that I find to be very succinct in moving forward for your team.
And Whitney, I'd like to just point out, like I said earlier, I think it's so important. So for me as a practice manager, to incorporate these into your business and not only understand how your patients think, but how each other thinks, because
Yeah.
we have a team, and so I've got 4 assistants, and they don't all of them have different personality types. They have to know how to work together to be most effective for our business. And at the end of the day, we're all here for one common goal. So we all have to figure out how to work together. So, I mean, for example, Whitney Jackson is a good friend of mine, and we are doing a staff retreat in March with our entire team. We try to incorporate a personality test at least every couple of years. So she's coming to do that exercise with my team. It's very, very important to do that and understand how everybody works.
Well, I'm excited to be part of that. And consulting has just been a passion of mine for many years. Being able to equip team members to take their goals and their career goals to their next level, and being able to communicate with patients as effectively as possible so that you know how to answer everyone is one of my favorite things possible. I really love it. It's wonderful to see that when you equip people with the right words, it empowers them and it gives them a whole new level of confidence to move forward, both with personal relationships and their teammates' relationships, and in our treatment acceptance for patients. So it's really awesome to be able to get people just those right tools. And so one of those treatment acceptance fundamentals is a nudge. It's pretty simple, just a little nudge. It's a natural way to move a patient towards treatment acceptance. So I'm going to give you some nudges for you to be able to incorporate into your conversation so that it does feel natural. I recommend working with your team members and kind of role playing, bouncing it off, because you all have that story of that patient that was really complicated and or mean or not fun to be around in your treatment acceptance conversation that you can think back towards and try and reframe what that conversation might have been like if you had some nudges for that patient. And remember that silence is okay. I promise it's okay. It is a way to let the patient digest the information that you've given them and allows them to have the opportunity to think about what you've explained. Yes, it's a little bit awkward. Kind of like that silence right there. Just those couple of seconds can be awkward, but it doesn't hurt, and it allows that patient the opportunity to think. Another story I have about silence when coaching about a treatment coordinator that I used to work with, and letting her know that silence is okay. It's pretty tough for her. She gets really chatty, but she said, I did it. And I said, well, how did it go? And she said, well, I was presenting a $50,000 treatment for this patient. And they were very direct. They had all the facts. And she said, here's how much it costs. And then she was quiet. And the patient, instead of talking with her, picked up their phone and just started scrolling through their phone. And she said this silence was about to kill her. And she just had to sit there. So finally, the patient quit messing with their phone and they looked up and they said, okay, I just sold some of my Apple stock and rearranged some funds. So I'm going to be able to get that check cut to you tomorrow.
You know what? I love that. I love that. There are times that we present treatment in our office, and I tell the girls, I mean, we all know this. We've all got that person. So Brian is on the call and he can attest. We've got that one employee that all she wants to do is talk, and she doesn't like the silence. And I've told her, I'm like, it is okay to say, this is your treatment plan. And when they're sitting there and they're looking at it, it's okay to say, hey, I'm gonna walk away and give you a few minutes. I'll check back on you in 5 minutes. It is okay, because sometimes they just need that moment to process. So I will totally present a treatment plan and walk out of the room and give them some time to process and figure out if this is the right time for them. And one of our hygienists, I love her handoff, because she will say, hey, this patient's got this treatment plan, and this is what needs to happen. Well, we're going to give them the opportunity to see if it's correct, the correct timing financially for them. And she walks away. And it is a great handoff to let them have a moment to say, hey, I know I need this. Can I do this financially? Am I ready for this? And I mean, I'm talking 90% of the time, these people schedule treatment.
They do. They just need a minute to think, just like that patient needed a minute to think, where am I going to sell stock to be able to make this happen? Yeah. And that's what they needed time to think about.
And sometimes, Whitney, talking too much, you can end up talking the patient right out of it, right out of their comfort zone, and then nothing good comes out of that. So silence is definitely, in my experience, has been a good one for sure.
Absolutely, Crystal. So some examples of nudges for you to be able to take home tonight. Pretty common sentences that are very comfortable to say. They don't sound like a sales pitch, right? You can get on board with this. See, that was a nudge right there. We should get this going for you. This is a great option. Let's get you scheduled. Or this is an awesome way to get you taken care of. Good news, we have an opening in the schedule. We can go ahead and make this happen for you. This is going to get you comfortable again. Patients that are in pain need that nudge because you can get them comfortable again. Your practice can take care of that. Or what a difference this is going to make in your smile. Let's get you scheduled. So these are things that you can screenshot, take a picture of. They are my gift to you, ways to move forward.
And that's so important. I mean, too, when you're presenting this, if you're excited about it, they might be excited about it. And you just got to be able to read that person and know, like, some people are going to say, hey, they're overly excited. Why do they want me to do this? That's why that's this whole conversation here. But you're going to have some people that are like, oh, they're ready for it, so I'm ready for it, So that's why it's so important to take these tools and use them in your everyday. And it's not just in dentistry. You can use these every day in every aspect of life.
You're right, Tyler. And I'm glad to be able to cover some of these tools we can put in our toolbox to move forward with treatment acceptance and with getting along better with our team members that we might have had communication barrier. This is just a nutshell of it, but I hope that tonight you'll have had some more confidence in your ability to talk about sales and using the DISC profile as something to ponder for your team that might be a real benefit for you. Take home some of those nudges and just incorporate them starting tomorrow in your treatment acceptance. And remember that your team takes great care of patients. So being able to talk with them, those patients, about how great you all are is going to show through, and that confidence will move them forward. Are there any other questions, Nicole?
I don't think we have any more questions, but we actually do have a comment from Wendy Thompson, who is a client of CareStack. For any other CareStack users in the crowd today, she actually did put a little tidbit or a little trick, especially when you're talking about, like, hey, how do you remember to actually follow up with someone? You guys are busy enough. You're on the phone, you're getting a patient in person. How did someone remember that? And Wendy said, I use a task on a Google Calendar, and then I put a small block on the CareStack schedule as a friendly reminder to myself. So everyone, you're walking away with another pearl of wisdom here.
I love that. I'm really glad that she shared on that.
No, absolutely. Thank you, Wendy. We appreciate you as always. And then Wendy, we appreciate you as well. Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your evening to join us on the Dinner with the Practice Heroes tonight. Well,
I'm a big fan of CareStack and what you all are doing in the dental software space. I feel like it's such a great tool, another tool in the toolbox. And I certainly appreciate the invitation to speak with you tonight.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you so much. And we look forward to having you again. Again, thank you everyone so much for joining us this evening. We really appreciate it. And stay tuned for what is to come on our next episode. We will keep you posted via our Facebook Champions group and through some email content. But everyone, have a great evening.